Welcome everyone. This is your own channel Learner Saga. In this video we will discuss the story The Snake and the Mirror, which is chapter 5 from your book Beehive. But before starting, I like to request you to press the like button and comment and share the video, and if you are new to please subscribe the channel. So without wasting any time, let's begin. The Snake and the Mirror. The story is a translated one. It was actually written in Malayalam. You can see here in the last page it is given that it is translated from the Malayalam by V. Abdullah. And the original writer is Vaikam Muhammad Bashir. So he wrote it in the Malayalam and it was later translated by V. Abdullah. He translated this into English. So as the very title says, The Snake and the Mirror, you can understand here the story revolves around these two things. That is, number one is the snake and the two is the mirror. Obviously there is another character who plays the pivotal role here. That is a doctor, a homeopathic doctor. He is the main protagonist here. And the snake, the mirror and the protagonist, they will continue to build up the story. So actually the story is a very hilarious one. It's a very humorous story. Obviously it gives us a message also. We will see that later. But we should at first continue with the section before you read. Do you like to look at yourself in the mirror? Definitely we do like to look ourselves in the mirror. What do you think about at such times? It differs. Actually, we generally try to look ourselves in the mirror, that how are we looking. And someone may find it otherwise also. They may check their how they look like, or you can see anything, that how their dress appears on them, how their hairstyle is, like that. So have you ever seen a dog or a bird look into a mirror? Actually, this is a question. If you one of you have seen this kind of thing, then it's very funny. And if any animal does so, it generally creates a sort of fun for us. What do you think it sees? It sees in their reflection, definitely, but as they are animal, probably they cannot get the right image. They cannot think that they are looking actually themselves. Their reflections they are looking at. Now read this humorous story about a doctor, a snake and a mirror. So as we have discussed, the three main characters, you may say, a doctor, a snake and a mirror. The Snake and the Mirror. And this story is actually a narrative within a narrative. Okay, the story is a narrative within a narrative. What does that mean? It means the story is told by another person. In this case, the story is told or narrated by the doctor, the homeopathy doctor. And that story is retold by our writer. That means the narrator, the main narrator was the doctor. He tells the story to the author and his associates, his friends. And now the writer is saying us. That's why this story is a narrative within a narrative. Now let's start. Has a snake ever coiled itself round any part of your body? A full-blooded cobra? So the very first line creates a sort of shocking impression for us. Has any one of us has the experience of having a black full-blooded cobra to coil around our body? All of us fell silent. So When the doctor tells this, you can see that the first line is under inverted commas. That means it was the speech told by the doctor. All of us fell silent. All of us, that means the author and his friends. So the group was feeling silent. On hearing this question asked by the doctor, they felt silent. The question came from the homeopath. The topic came up when we were discussing the snakes. We listened attentively as the doctor continued with his tale. So it was the question that came up from the topic of homeopath. They were discussing that, and the topic came up when they were discussing snakes. The author and his group, his friends, they were listening very carefully, very attentively as the doctor continued with his tale. So he was narrating the story, one incident that happened to the doctor, and the doctor is telling that tale to our author, our writer, and his friends. It was a hot summer night. About 10 o'clock, I had my meal at the restaurant and returned to my room. So you can see that it was a hot summer night. The setting is a hot summer night. About 10 o'clock, definitely at night. I had my meal at the restaurant. The doctor had his meal at a restaurant, and he returned to his room. I heard a noise from above as I opened the door. The sound was a familiar one. One could say that the rats and I shared the room. I took out my box of matches and lighted the kerosene lamp on the table. So quite interesting. So the doctor, he returned from the restaurant after his dinner, and on returning his home, when he opened the door, there was some sound, and it said that the doctor was very much familiar with that sound. That means the doctor had previous knowledge about that sound. He was quite used to with that kind of sound. And one could say that the rats and I shared the room. So it's a very humorous type of saying. That means the room was full with rats. And one would say that the doctor and rats, they shared the room. The doctor took out his box of matches and lighted a kerosene lamp on the table. The house was not electrified. Yes, we can guess that as the doctor lighted the kerosene lamp on the table, probably the house was not electrified. It was a small rented room. I had just set up medical practice and my earnings were meager. So the doctor was not a very well-to-do person. He was not very affluent. His earnings were meager. Meager means not enough. It was very low, you can say. I had about 60 rupees in my suitcase. Along with some shirts and dhotis, I also possessed one solitary black coat which I was then wearing. So this paragraph says that the doctor was not a very affluent person. He was just started his medical practice, and that's why his earnings were not very much. His earnings were very little. He had only 60 rupees in his suitcase, and along with some shirts and dhotis. He had only one black coat, which was he wearing then. I took off my black coat, white shirt, and not so wide vest, and hung them up. So you can remember this thing, particularly this one, not so white vest. The doctor took off his black coat that he was wearing then, his white shirt that was under the black coat, and under that the inner garment, that is the white vest, and the condition of the vest was not so white, so it was faded. I opened the two windows in the room. It was an outer room with one wall facing the open yard. It had a tiled roof with long supporting gables that rested on the beam over the wall. The poet opened the windows of the room. There were two windows. The poet opened the windows, and it was an outer room. That means the room's wall was facing the open veranda. It had a tiled roof. You can see here the roof is a tiled one, and as it is tiled, it is not flat. It had gables. It's called gable. The meaning is given also here. Upper part of a wall, below a sloping roof. The roof is sloping. You can see here it is sloping. It is not flat. There was no ceiling. There was a regular traffic of rats to and from the beam. So the room was a rented one, and as the doctor was not a very affluent one, so he somehow managed to bear his expenses, and that's why he had to afford this kind of rented house, which was full with rats and not very well-to-do room. I made my bed and pulled it close to the wall. I lay down, but I could not sleep. I got up and went out to the veranda for a little air, but the wind god seemed to have taken time off. The author, the homeopath doctor, he made his bed and pulled it close to the wall. Then he laid down, but he didn't fall asleep. He got up and went to the veranda. As it was given in the previous paragraph, there was an open yard. The wall was facing the open yard, that is the veranda. So he was there. He lay down, but as he could not sleep, he got up and went out to the veranda for a little air. So you can here understand that the room was not electrified, so there is no question of any electric fan or so. But the wind god seemed to have taken time off. This is a phrase. Taken time off means have a holiday. So the author here says there was no air. The homeopath doctor, I'm saying this every time author, but you are to take this as the doctor, because here actually it has been told by the homeopath doctor. You are not to take this for our author, because I have already told you this is a narrative within a narrative. Okay, so the homeopath doctor, he got up and went out to the veranda for a little air, as he was feeling hot and there was no electric fan in his room. But the wind god seemed to have taken time off. That means the wind was not blowing outside. And the phrase here means taken time off means to have a holiday. So the author jokingly says as if the wind god was enjoying his holiday. That's why there was no air blowing. I went back into the room and sat down on the chair. So as there was no air outside, the author he went back into his room and sat down on the chair. I opened the box beneath the table and took out a book, the Materia Medica. So as he was a doctor, he was trying to study something. There was a book, it named Materia Medica. he opened and tried to study. I opened it at the table on which stood the lamp and a large mirror. A small comb lay outside the mirror. So from here our story actually turns. When he opened the book at the table, there was also a lamp and a large mirror. You can see here, it is given in the next page, the picture. There is a large mirror. So, and a small comb lay beside the mirror. As it is usually there, a large mirror, and beside that there was a small comb. One feels tempted to look into a mirror when it is near one. Definitely, every person feels tempted. Tempted means attracted. Every person feels attracted whenever that person comes in contact with a mirror. I took a look. In those days, I was a great admirer of beauty, and I believed in making myself look handsome. So as he was a very young, he was in his youth stage, he was very young. So he was a very great admirer of beauty. He admired beauty, and that's why he tried to make himself a very handsome young man. I was unmarried and I was a doctor. I felt I had to make my presence felt. And first of all, he was a bachelor, he was unmarried, and in addition to that, he was also a doctor. He was also in a very prestigious position, prestigious occupation. That's why he thought within himself that he should try to make his presence to be felt. I picked up the comb and ran it through my hair and adjusted the parting so that it looked straight and neat. So you can understand here, as he wanted to look handsome, so he combed his hair. He combed his hair and adjusted the parting. Parting means the parting of the hair. The hair is separated into two parts. So he tried to adjust that portion and tried to look neat and clean and straight. Again I heard that sound from above, and when he was doing that, when he was combing his hair and trying to make himself look handsome, so at that time also he heard the same sound from above. So in this video, students, we will read up to this portion. In the next video we will continue, but before leaving, again I like to request you to subscribe the channel if you are new, and also to press the like button and comment and share the video. Definitely you should comment. If you have any doubt, I will try to answer you as soon as possible. So hoping to meet you in the next video. Goodbye.